Welcome back to the 30-day Jiu-Jitsu Mobility Challenge. Today I've got a couplet for you. Let's not waste any time, go straight into it. All right, this mobility session today, this couplet, combination of two exercises, is designed specifically to improve your guard retention, and it features one of my favorite mobility movements. So come into your deep squat. This is gonna be our retest position. We're gonna test out our mobility, how we're feeling today in this deep squat position. And then at the end, we're gonna come back into it and retest and see what change we actually made to our mobility. So we're getting a dose and response, and we're actually able to determine how effective our mobility practice was. So for this, you'll need to be up against the wall. So I'm pretty close to the wall today because we're gonna be going into a couch stretch. So groove into your squat position, just open up your hips, just get ready for what's to come. We're gonna spend a fair amount of time in couch today, about 5 minutes in total, maybe a bit longer in couch. And then we are going to go into a long lunge. But let's start with couch. So come up against your wall. I'm gonna start with my left leg up against the wall, and we're gonna start in our first couch position. Now, you can come up against the wall and have the instep of your foot on the wall, or you can have your toes on the wall. I prefer the instep of my foot. It's a bit more effective and a bit of a better version of our couch. But yeah, so this is couch progression number one. So what we're gonna do here is, it's really important in couch to engage your glutes the whole time. So throughout this mobility movement, I'm gonna be testing my glutes by giving them a little tap here and making sure that my glutes are squeezed. So you want to engage your glutes, keep your glutes activated. If at any stage your glutes turn off during this movement or during this mobility exercise here, you need to progress or regress back to the previous version of couch. And that will make sense because in a moment, because this movement progresses through different stages of difficulty. This is pretty much stage one where we're at here. So we're up on our, well, realistically, if this is too much for you, you can come down to like stage 0, if you will, where your knees on the floor, just to get used to the position. But I consider this stage 1, where you're up on your foot here. So making sure your glute is squeezed the whole time. You can even drive your hip down toward the mat to get a little bit more activation, but we're gonna get plenty of activation, don't worry, in this position. So what we're doing here is we're squeezing our glute and driving our hip down into the mat. And you should really feel it up your left seam here into your hip flexor. This is why this is such an excellent mobility movement for jiu-jitsu, because we spend so much time with our knees to chest, so much time in guard. And even if you're in your everyday life, you're spending a lot of time at your desk. Maybe you're working from home. Maybe you're doing a lot of driving, a lot of sitting. It's hard to avoid being in this seated position. And what that does is it constricts our hip flexors, where this movement is the opposite to that, where we're opening up our hip flexors. Okay, so if you're happy with this position here and you want to follow me and progress up to the next stage, feel free. If you want to stay here at level 1, you can also feel free to do so. But I'm going to push up into stage 2, making sure that I keep my glutes turned on the whole time. Just going to adjust my knee a little bit, keeping my glutes engaged the whole time, and I'm just gonna test that with a little glute tap here. Really important to keep your glutes engaged throughout this movement. And then we can sink in by like leaning forward ever so slightly. You can really sink in. You can have your hands resting on something. You can grab onto something. You can have your hands on your opposite knee here, the knee that's obviously up. But we don't want to banana back. We don't want to extend our back and have this sort of like curved back posture. We want to make sure that our rib cage is in and down, and we're having a bit of a flex in our core here to maintain a rigid core. So we're maintaining the integrity of this position. Again, I absolutely love this modality. Couch stretch is my number one go-to for all jiu-jitsu players, just because it is literally the opposite of having your knees to chest. Now, it's important that we train our ability to get our knees to chest, but it is also important that we take care of our hip flexors in the couch position and really stretch them out, so we have more range of motion available to us. Okay, So making sure that you are squeezing your glutes, taking big, deep breaths whilst I'm waffling on. You should be focusing in on your breath. This is pretty much a hold. So we're just gonna hold this position. You can give me little pulses if you would like, little pulses forward, just touching that end range and coming back out. If this is too easy for you, make sure that you're up on the instep of your back foot and not on your toe. And the closer that you get to the wall, the more difficult it will become. Now, if you want to progress even further, come up and put your hands up, reach up to the sky and reach back to the wall here. This is level 3. Or alternatively, if you want to make it difficult another way, you can elevate your front foot by putting a plate down or something that you can stack something up that you can put your foot onto. And this will create an even more challenging position. But remember, you have to keep your glutes turned on throughout the entire duration of this exercise. So make sure that you're giving yourself a good glute tap. You should be squeezing your glutes the whole time. If you need to come out of this position, feel free to do so. If you need to go back down a step, that is perfectly fine. Feel free to come in and out of this position. You don't need to be hanging out in this position the whole time like I am. You can come in and out as required, but try your best to give me as long as you can in this, this couch position here. In a moment, we're going to swap over. Just give me a couple more little pulses. Maybe push into end range here. Squeezing your glutes, contract, relax. Okay, so let's come back down and we're going to swap over. So I'm going to start off like we did on our left side here. Now I'm going to my right side. The instep of my foot is up on the wall. I'm going to come straight up to level 1. If you need to, you can hang out in this level here. This is level 1, but if you want, you can come straight up like me. Let's have one hand on the mat, one hand on my knee, squeezing my glute, give myself a little glute check, make sure my glute is activated and on. It's very important that you keep your glute activated. If you relax your glute, you're not going to be getting any of the benefits or the majority of the benefits from this modality. So it's very important that you keep your glutes engaged throughout. They should be flexed the whole time. You can move into this position and move your weight down into your hip and push your hip to the floor. If you are at home, which majority of you probably are, and you're doing this the 30-day challenge from home, feel free to put something underneath your knee to make it a little bit more easier on your knee. I have heard stories of people doing couch stretch and hurting themselves because they haven't put anything underneath their knee. It can be irritating to your knee. So yeah, put a pillow down or a mat or yoga mat or something like that. But as you can see, I'm at the gym, so I've got the luxury of having all of these mats here. I'm just doing little pulses here and I'm getting ready to come up into level 2. And up we go. Feel free to join me up in level 2 or stay down at level 1 if you would like. Give myself a little glute tap here to make sure that my glutes are engaged throughout. Very important. And I'm not banana backing here. I'm keeping my rib cage in and down. My core is engaged. My glutes are engaged. And I'm going to move in and out of my end range here and get the full expression of this couch stretch. This is my absolute favorite stretch for jiu-jitsu players. And it's definitely going to be reoccurring throughout the 30 days. If I was to choose one stretch for all jiu-jitsu players to do, one daily stretch, one daily mobility practice, I would definitely say it would have to be the couch stretch. I try to get some couch sorted every day. Obviously, I don't always adhere to that, but this is one of my favorites. Now, if you'd like to join with me, put your hands up to the wall behind you for level 3. Give me a couple of deep breaths, squeezing your glutes, keeping your glutes engaged. And back down. Just a couple more seconds here. And back down here. Okay. Let's bring your legs out in front of you. Give it a shake. Shake it off. Excellent work. Now I'm just going to finish off quickly with a little drill, which is directly related to jiu-jitsu. What we're gonna do, all of it's related to jiu-jitsu, but you'll see why in a second. We're gonna come into a 90-90 position. Not our 90-90 modified pigeon, but just a standard upright 90-90 position. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this 90-90 position to push up, come up to a kneeling position, as though I'm standing up from guard to go for some form of like single leg or something like that, or a takedown, or just to return to the feet and back down. We come back up, step forward, come back down. I'm gonna move back a little bit. So starting here, 90-90 position, nice, tall, upright posture, kicking up off your legs and back down, nice and control. A couple more of those. You can come all the way up if you'd like, but to stay in frame, I'm just gonna come up to kneeling. And swap over. Now the right leg should be out in front of you, the left leg ratcheting back into a 90-90. Nice upright posture, and the same. Nice and controlled on the descent. Don't wanna be collapsing here. Couple more. And return your legs back out in front of you. So that quick little mobility session, hopefully you enjoyed that, but definitely add couch stretch to your repertoire and stay tuned for tomorrow's session in the 30-day Jiu-Jitsu Mobility Challenge.